afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can find us on the radio, icradio.media, where we are Fox News affiliates. You can also find us on television, Channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundant Television syndicated on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire, all the social media sites. You know how it goes. So find us any way that you'd like, and you can also send the emails. We appreciate that as well. You're the apple of my eye. I'm just telling you. Keep sending those emails. Donna at donnasedge.com. I have a very good friend with me right now. He's an attorney, a speaker, an author. His name is Don Brown. He's not shy at all. I mean,
I get
I like you, Don. That's why I like you.
I get kind of tongue twisted around you, a little shy around you, Donna. But other than that, I guess you're right, not too shy. Celebrities get me tongue twisted, so there you go. Well,
no, you're fabulous. But I wanted to point out something happened to the air in my studio, so I'm in Phil's man cave.
Okay.
I went on ahead and took the fish out off the wall, and I put some flowers up. I just thought the flowers might add a nice touch.
I rather like the man cave. My only objection is why hasn't Phil invited me to the man cave yet? I'm ready to make the trip.
Come on down. We'll love to have you. We'll feed you some cornbread and milk.
I'm ready for it.
Well, we have an exciting time. But first, let's talk about what happened this weekend. And I just have to say, people are more fired up than ever. Even folks I have never seen fired up for Trump. They liked him. They just didn't say anything. But now they're all fired up.
Right. Well, this weekend was clearly a colossal failure by the Secret Service, either by design or by criminal negligence, one or the other. Biden has shown his colors by not firing the woke director, Kimberly Cheadle. She should have been fired on the spot. You don't leave a building open just 130 yards or whatever it might be from where the president is speaking, wide open. It appears that a sniper, Secret Service sniper, or whoever the sniper was with, may have been the police, that still isn't even clear, had his gun sights on the assassin for 3 minutes before being given the authorization to pull the trigger. There appears to have been a rules of engagement type of situation, as that we fought so much. I was involved in fighting in the military in Afghanistan with Obama and Biden saying, "Hey, you can't shoot. You can't shoot till you're fired upon first." I've asked a question, and I ask it again. Now, I don't know the answer, but I've got a gut. Would this ever have happened? Would Trump have ever been shot? Would there have been an assassination attempt if the Democrats had been, and meaning the Obama and the Clinton faction, had been able to push Biden off the ticket in the last couple of weeks, as they tried in conjunction with the deep state media so hard to do? You just have to ask that question. You have to wonder. This is the most criminally inexcusable act of neglect by the Secret Service and probably in the nation's history. It's even worse than what happened probably in Dallas in 1963, because then nobody, that was the first time we dealt with an assassination of a president in modern era, since McKinley, and before that Lincoln and Garfield. But I've never seen anything like this. I immediately attacked it on my social media. Others have now attacked it as well. I saw one outlet calling for the resignation of Cheadle. No, she should be fired. Reports have surfaced that there had been a request from Trump's protective detail. And I want to make a difference, to make the distinction between his protective detail and the Secret Service management and control. Secret Service is part of the deep state. They're under Homeland Security. Mayorkas oversees Cheadle. There were not adequate assets. There is no way you don't have that top of that building covered. Even if you claim there is funding, hey, I'd buy them a $150 drone with a camera. They could put that over the top and monitor it. It is inexcusable. And I think the deep state wanted Trump gone. You've seen the increasing calls for violence. Even we had a field director from a Democrat congressman say, "Hey, too bad he missed." You had Keith Olbermann stepping up.
I can't believe this.
Right. That's right. The rhetoric has been incendiary. They've called Trump a fascist. They've called him Hitler. They call him this. They call him that. They said he's a threat to democracy, even though it's Biden's weaponized Justice Department that's been leading the charge on these criminally unconstitutional political prosecutions. They are the ones who are the threat to our constitutional republic, but they always point their finger at you when they're guilty of what they're pointing their finger for. And that's what we've seen. So this is not acceptable. The call for an investigation by the FBI, the same FBI, by the way, that illegally violated the Fourth Amendment and raided the president's home in Mar-a-Lago when it was totally unnecessary. The same FBI that was given marching orders to use lethal force if necessary at Mar-a-Lago. Now they are investigating a full and thorough investigation. Gee, that makes me feel better. It's like after the fox has already gone through and ravaged the hen house, complete with blood and feathers. Now the fox is investigating what happened. And so it is unacceptable. I want to see this woman fired. Biden's failure to fire up to this point shows what a spineless creature he is. Of course, I'm not sure that he has a full understanding or realization of what's happened, but she ought to be fired first and asked questions later. You don't let this type of thing happen. It was only by the grace of God, with Trump turning his head at the last moment to look at the Jumbotron, that the assassination attempt did not succeed. It's almost as if someone in the deep state wanted it to succeed and deliberately left open a vantage point for somebody to take a shot. What other explanation is there?
Well, I don't think the guy worked alone. I just don't. I think they're all in it together. But what's so obvious to me, though, is you could see people in the crowd behind Trump were looking at this person, at this thug. They were looking, they were pointing, they were doing this before he was taken out, before the shot was even on.
And we've heard audio and video of Trump supporters saying, hey, somebody's on the roof. Hey, do something. Nothing was done. And again, that sniper who finally took him out had him trained in his crosshairs for several minutes, apparently, and should have pulled the trigger as soon as he saw someone up there with a rifle. Why in the heck are you waiting? Someone suggested, well, maybe he's afraid of lawfare, and maybe that's why he waited. That's a possibility. We don't know. But the point of the matter is, it starts with the fact that roof was left uncovered and unattended. You just don't do that. I was at President Reagan's first inauguration. It shows how old I am. And I'm telling you, there were Secret Service snipers everywhere on every building in the mall. Nobody could have gotten in there close enough. Plus helicopters, and plus we didn't have drones back in the day. We had helicopters covering and watching from above. And as I say, it appears that somebody wanted them taken out. Now, you could say conspiracy theory. The Democrats say conspiracy theory. Everything is a conspiracy theory when they don't like it. But you look at what they've done to this president from the very beginning. From the moment he comes down at Mar-a-Lago, I mean, they ambush him with Billy Bush just a few days before the election. He survives that. Then as soon as he's inaugurated, it is revealed. He revealed it himself. They had spied. The FBI had illegally spied on his campaign. The deep state went ballistic when he pointed that out. It turned out to be true through this FISA court based upon false affidavits. Then they go after him with Russia, which has been debunked and proven to be a lie. His weak attorney general, Jeff Sessions from your state there in Alabama, was a huge mistake. He unnecessarily disqualifies himself and lets his assistant, Rod Rosenstein, appoint Mueller.
That's what we call a coward here in Alabama.
He's a coward. And by the way, we now know, and we'll get to this perhaps later, but Mueller's appointment, just like Jack Smith's appointment, was a violation of the Appointments Clause of the United States Constitution. The Mueller team caused the prosecution of a number of American patriots, including my favorite of them all, General Mike Flynn, who endorsed me for Congress, but not just General Flynn, Roger Stone, Paul Manafort, and you can go down the list. These all came from the Mueller prosecutions from a special prosecutor who we now know, because of a couple of reasons, was illegally appointed in violation of the Appointments Clause, just like Jack Smith was illegally appointed. But back on point, they've gone after this president. They have used, this Russiagate thing, 2 impeachments. They couldn't bring him down. They cheated their you-know-what-off using COVID as a cover in the 2020 election. He declares, and they unleash lawfare on him from start to finish over 4 jurisdictions, 90-some charges, trying to put him away for life. That backfires against him. Then they try to push Biden out of office, who obviously cannot win on his own. They know it. They can't mask it as well as they could 4 years ago. He is not pushed out of office, and conveniently, that building, the top of that AVG building, is left uncovered. Coincidence? Hey.
It's not a coincidence. Anybody with half a brain in their head would understand what's going on right now.
I'll
And
sell
what's been
everybody
going
some
on for
beach
the past, say,
property.
6 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I didn't mean to go on a rail, Donna. I'm just
No. This is perfect. We're all doing this right now. I mean, we're mad. I mean, we are pushed to the limits. So I was watching the convention, and so I was noticing people were actually putting remarks out there. And so apparently there are some paid thugs who are hired to make remarks. Okay, let's see if I can pull it up. It's still up. Right here it is. Okay, so what they're doing is they're, people from Alabama, all the folks, whatever, all over the country. So, and I don't know why this can't be stopped. So there are people, okay, and it goes on and on and on. It's Trump is a felon and a child rapist. You're all so cult created for Trump. Too bad that bullet missed him. I thought this was it. I thought, okay, when I grew up, apparently we were in a naive era. Okay, so I always heard that if you even said anything on the phone that was against the president, that, so folks be coming and knocking on your door. So why are these people getting by with all of this?
Well, the Secret Service is supposed to investigate every threat by law.
Well, they're not.
Either to the president or to a major presidential candidate. Of course, I call Trump the president. I call Biden Biden. So that's just me. But they're supposed to follow up with every one of these. There's such a flood of these, death wishes and death threats from these crazy Democrats, wherever they are. I'm not sure they're following up with them. I haven't heard of any of them being prosecuted, certainly. But this is the culture we live in. I mean, you've got these Democrats are really just communists. They're tyrants, they're communists. And look, we're in a battle between nationalism and globalism. That's what it boils down to. I read an article the other day about how many nationalist figures around the world have been assassinated or attempted assassination. You've got the Prime Minister of Japan. And then you've had the president of, you have Bolsonaro in Venezuela. You've had, you've had a number of nationalist leaders around the world who have either been assassinated or attempted assassination. And that's what we're battling. We're battling globalism versus nationalism. And President Trump is America first. His new vice presidential pick is America first, J.D. Vance.
Let's talk about him.
And this drives them bananas. And that's why there's this insane, illogical hatred. Hitler, a fascist, threat to democracy, blah, 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 blah. Hey, it isn't Trump who could have ordered his Justice Department to go after Hillary Clinton. And it was Jim Comey, who Trump should have fired a long time before he did, who, remember, he said, well, we found classified materials on her server, but this is nothing that any reasonable prosecutor would ever prosecute. And the Justice Department under Trump did not go after Hillary. It has been the Democrats that have been the existential threat to the Constitution and the freedom that continue to be this way. This incendiary rhetoric is part of what communists and fascists and tyrants use to try to take out people that are nationalists and that are against their globalist agenda. So I've never seen anything like it. Oberlin is right up there. Joe Biden himself said it's time to put a target on Trump. And a couple of days later, the target is put on Trump. And they try to back off. I saw a clip earlier of George Stephanopoulos and Martha Raddatz come on and try to say, oh, well, President Trump is responsible for the incendiary rhetoric and then blah, blah. And there's J6. Hey, I'm working on a book right now. I've just completed the chapter on J6. You go back to J6. When the DOJ obfuscates their statistics to try to make you think Trump supporters there were violent. The fact of the matter is you might have had 100, 150 or so out of more than 1,260 that have been arrested who deserve to be arrested and were violent, who attacked officers and broke into the Capitol. They should be prosecuted. But we don't know if they're really Trump supporters. We don't know if it's Fed direction. We don't know who they are because they haven't been revealed. So there is no genuine, attempt to adopt any type of truthful mantra from the other side. And we are living in an era, as I've said before, this is 1917 in America. Some people say 1984. George Orwell protected all the media intrusion. There's a lot of that, but it's really 1917 because these Democrats and their communist minions and allies are trying to overthrow the United States Constitution for the sake of power, and they're using green energy. They're using, there are all kinds of stuff, that make you want to think there's climate change, all this kind of junk, as an excuse to seize power and hold it. And Trump is standing against it, and that's why they hate him like they do.
However, a real piece of ammunition goes right here and nicks President Trump in the ear. And they are the ones who are the conspiracy theorists. They're talking about, oh, the whole thing was staged. Have you heard that one? Now the left is like Trump was paying somebody like it was staged.
Yeah. I tell you what,
about that.
Can you think how stupid that is? Trump staged it. Say, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to turn my head, and then you guy up there 130 yards away, I want you to shoot me. Make sure you just get my ear.
Just
get right here from 130 yards. I'm sure you're accurate enough just to get the ear.
Okay, I'm sure you're a good shot. I'm sure you are, but I would not even trust you to do that. I would not say, now, Don, just nick me right here, okay?
Well, I mean, they'll say anything. You can do a whole stage set up. Give me a break.
The whole thing is insane.
Well, listen.
They are the biggest conspiracy theory of all. I'm looking at all this right now. Donald J. Trump, he's a liar. He's all this. I mean, just leave it alone. If you don't like it, go to your own little corner of the world in your make-believe whatever world and stay out of this. I don't do anything. I never even go on a site with a lib. I just don't go there because I don't want to. I'm happy where I am.
You're not dealing with any rationality. I mean, I posted that very question on my social media. If they had been successful in forcing Biden to step down last week and the week before after his disastrous debate performance, and after New York Times, CNN, everybody turned on, would this have happened? And most people said, in my gut, I don't think so. Although I can't prove it. In my gut, I don't believe it would have. Some Democrat comes, another conspiracy theory, to which I respond, conspiracy theory. This is the Democrats' go-to line because, number one, if you don't have to think if you call everything a conspiracy theory, and all you got to do is lap up whatever CNN tells you, and there you are, you're a program robot. Most of these so-called conspiracy theories turn out to be true. Trump says he's spying on my campaign. They ridiculed him and made fun of him. It turned out to be true, didn't it? So they are the conspiracy theorists. They're the ones who put the Russia collusion hoax out there for people to believe and still try to bring it up, even after all this time. Even after the illegitimately appointed Robert Mueller found no evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, they still throw it up there. So anyway.
There are a bunch of narcissists. Okay, I have narcissists in my family, which is one reason I want to get to South Carolina as quick as I can get there. But I was raised by one, so I know exactly how they operate. They're going to make you think that you don't see what you see. You didn't see that when you know darn well you did. And that's what they're doing right now. All of these thugs in the Democrat Party are doing this, and some Republicans.
That's exactly right, Donna. And, we talked, I think, after the debate, and had a good conversation. You asked me what was the most interesting part. And I think I pointed out when Trump looked over and said, I don't know what he said. He didn't know either. But after that debate, they turned on him big time. And remember, last time you were kind enough to have me on air. I mean, I raised the question: how are they going to how's the media going to turn on a dime once they realize they can't force him out? Well, you're starting to see it. George Stephanopoulos, who interviewed him and who was caught on the street saying he can't serve another term, is now joining with Martha Raddatz trying to say, the incendiary rhetoric is Trump's responsibility, as if it's Trump's responsibility somebody shot him. I mean, come on. Nobody's taking a pot shot against any Democrat, and I hope to God they don't. But can you imagine if this shot had been taken against any Democrat? They'd be tearing the streets up today. I saw someone put a meme the other day that said 100 million pissed off Republicans and not one building burned down. Now think about that.
That's true. Are we taking it to the streets? Well, we never have.
Right. They tore up the entire nation, over 500 riots in the wake of this George Floyd, death. When George Floyd himself overdosed on fentanyl, they played only an excerpt of one video taken from the side, looking like Chauvin had his knee on Floyd's neck when Floyd was saying, "I can't breathe." But I've seen all the body cam in that case. George Floyd was put in the back of the car, back of the squad car, and he kept saying, "I can't breathe." He was saying that in the squad car, he demanded that he put on the ground. All that was kept from us. All that was kept from us so that they could use isolated footage as an excuse to tear down the nation. 19 Americans lose their lives. The deadliest and certainly the most expensive riots in American history. Nearly over $2 billion in damage burned down, and burned down over a guy who was a drug user and a criminal and who killed himself. Not only did he have fentanyl in his body, he had methamphetamines also. I've read the Hennepin County's coroner's report. I'm not making this up. But they needed a scout. They tried in Democrat-infested Minneapolis, got the conviction of Officer Chauvin. But they tore the entire nation down over a criminal who actually killed himself. Here we have the president getting shot, and conservatives don't act in the same way. In fact, and we're angry, of course, and we're demanding answers, and it's got to stop. Nobody's burning the country down. And that is the fundamental difference between the left and the right in this country. You have anarchists and communists on one side. You have God-loving, God-fearing Americans on the other side who love our country and love the Constitution. And the two sides could not be more polar opposite.
I'm going to tell you something that blows my mind. I believe there's God. I mean, I really do. I believe in Jesus Christ as my Savior.
Amen.
I'm not like a religious person, but I'm a Jesus lover is how I am. And Phil is the same way. So I posted something. I had borrowed something, and it was a passage in the Bible said something about the ear with blood on the ear. And I had idiots remarking on my Facebook page like I was, oh, please, like I was some kind of a lunatic nut. But it's true. This is true. I mean, and I'm not going to apologize for it. I have nothing to apologize for.
Absolutely not. I wrote, and I think you read it, I wrote a post immediately after the shooting and attacking the SS Secret Service is all the irony, the SS Secret Service attacking them immediately for the inexcusable lack of protection that was provided, and made in a passing comment something about any fool believing that Biden defeated Trump in 2020. When Biden couldn't draw a dozen people in an asphalt parking lot, Trump can draw 100,000 people on a spot. I made a passing comment about that. Somebody says, "Oh, be careful about calling people fools," blah, 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 blah. I made a generic comment, and I'm not backing down from what I said. And people need to be, these Democrats got to be a little more thick-skinned, not so freaking thin-skinned. We got a problem in this country. We're about to lose everything that our founding fathers fought and died for, and that the greatest generation some 80 years ago fought and died for when they left us with the greatest gift of a nation in the history of the world. We're about to lose it all because, we are weak, thin-skinned and can't focus on what's really important. These Democrats, it's about party and power over country. And I lecture some of them all the time. I tell one friend of mine who comes on and kind of gnaws a little bit, pets here, say, "Listen, it's time for you to put your country ahead of the Democrat Party." But they worship the Democrat Party. It's party and power over country and Constitution. And that's got to stop, and we've got to speak out forcefully against it.
Well, you're absolutely right, 110% true on this. So the thing I noticed, and I've told you before, Trump reminds me of my dad. It was just like, you just do stuff and don't make excuses. My dad's common thing was some people just work to get out of work. That was one of his common phrases. So, but what I thought was interesting about Trump is all the politicians that I've ever paid any kind of attention to whatsoever would say something that would actually be the truth. And then they would have to go find a microphone and apologize for it. Why are you apologizing for it? If it's the truth.
Because they're thin-skinned. They're thin-skinned. They're worried about how to be affected in the polls. And some consultants said, "Let's apologize, blah, 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 blah." Don't stop apologizing. We live in a daggone nation where there's too much apology. Hold your head down and apologize. I mean, you should never apologize for quoting something out of the Bible. And I'm glad that you're not. But a lot of people would. "Oh, if I offended you, I don't care who I offend." I've got an audience of one, and he's there. I've got an audience of one at the end of the day, and I know you feel the same way, Donna.
I've got an answer to that one.
Absolutely. And no one else at the end of the day. That's exactly right.
But you know something? I don't want to think, I don't want to feel my time on earth and my family remember me as being thin skinned. I just, I don't remember my dad as being thin skinned at all. And there's something about somebody who's thin. Now, if you do something stupid, apologize for it, sure. But I'm talking about when you say the truth and when you speak it, and you're calling somebody out who is trying to tear the country down. You don't have to apologize for that. Nope. Don't apologize.
Nope, not at all. And by the way, when you look at Trump and his history, he has been out in front of the popular opinion on numerous occasions. He said when we went into Iraq, it was a mistake at the time. Going against the whole political establishment in Washington. George W. Bush had all the Republicans and most of the Democrats, too, behind going into Iraq. And by the way, even if you believe what they say about 9/11, the government story is of 9/11 was initiated by the Taliban and Osama bin Laden, not by Saddam Hussein. Yet we attacked and went into Iraq first. And look what we've gotten out of it after all these years. Trump said it was a mistake then. People disagreed with him. The entire establishment disagreed with him. It turns out he was right. And he didn't ever apologize for it. When he said they were spying on his campaign in March of 2017, shortly after being inaugurated, they laughed at him. He turned out to be right. There's a picture of a young Nazi German steelworker back during the days of Hitler, and they were commissioning and launching a German ship on the Baltic, and everybody in that picture is giving the Sieg Heil symbol, except for this guy who's sitting there with his arms crossed. Mm-hmm. The guy's name was August Landmaster, and someone circled that picture and said, "Be this guy." I admire the guy who will stand against the crowd. Trump has shown that he will stand against the crowd. He'll come out and say things that might not be popular. Most of the time, he's right. You know, it's interesting because Elon Musk said, and I think correctly so, that this guy is the closest thing to Teddy Roosevelt that we've had, the toughest president we've had since Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt took a bullet too. The bullet was never taken out of him. Mm-hmm. And this guy coming up and pumping his fist and saying, "Fight, fight, fight," with blood running down his face is going to be one of the most iconic photographs in American history, right up there with the Marines at Iwo Jima and a number of other things. Absolutely. And he's a transition. He is a transitional, transcendent politician who is a once in a generation type guy, or a once in a generations type guy. And I've tried to explain to some of my Trump disliking Republican friends who still pine for DeSantis or Nikki or whoever, mm-hmm. that they just do not understand the innate greatness that we're seeing. They don't understand how he's able to connect with the average guy and girl and woman and man and Joe and Jane on the street. He has an ability to connect with the forgotten man and the forgotten woman, and the elites cannot understand that. And it drives them bananas.
They don't get it because they're sitting up in their little Eiffel Tower up there. They don't get it. Their ivory tower.
That's right.
So this is what I noticed. So they're leading President Trump to his car. By the way, I thought he should have been protected a little bit more. There were several times when the Secret Service agents were not exactly. There were several times a shot could have been taken to his chest.
You're right.
And if you notice,
first off, while I appreciate his security detail, you don't put a 5'5" woman guarding a guy who's 6'3". You find agents who are as big as the protectee, so they can truly stand in front of him and take the bullet. But this, and I'm not, it's not the agent's fault. But this is this director, Kim Cheadle, who was working with PepsiCo, guarding Cheetos, as Elon Musk said, before Biden brings her in 2022. Mm-hmm. And she's woke and she's DEI. And her whole thing has been to push for 30% women in the Secret Service. And I don't care whether you're a woman or what you are, red, yellow, black, and white. If I'm going in for heart surgery or brain surgery at some hospital, I don't care what you look like or act like or what your person. I want the best in the world. But they're pushing for this DEI stuff. And she needs to be fired on the spot. And I agree with you. There were times, even after the firing, that I was concerned about the exposure, I'll give credit to the sniper, the Secret Service sniper or the local police sniper. Again, that's not clear, who took the shooter out. Because that shooter had not been taken out, that shooter could be continuing to fire shots, and the president was exposed. And there needs to be a thorough review of the entire procedure from start to finish, including the aftermath of the shooting when they kept him exposed for too long of a time, in my opinion.
But I want to ask you another question, okay? Because I would have, and I know nothing about any of this stuff, okay? I'm just some old chick that lives right here in Alabama. But here's the thing. This is common sense to me. Okay, so is there ever an occasion where there's more than one sniper, is my point?
Oh, yeah.
Shouldn't you be looking for another sniper? I mean, he was left out there. Okay, he stands up. He's looking for his shoes. He's doing all this. There was plenty. If there were another sniper out there was plenty of opportunity to shoot him again.
Well, the entire JFK assassination has been covered up. The Warren Commission was a joke. The Zapruder films suggest that bullets came from possibly even on the grassy knoll. I hope that President Trump will declassify every record, even if it means exposing certain three-letter agencies in the federal government from the JFK assassination. The public has a right to know. But of course, there could have been a second sniper, and oftentimes they work in tandem. And yes, it was a very, very vulnerable moment. I like the photo op. I like the fact that the president's holding his hand up defiantly, but he was exposed even at that moment. And and so these procedures are going to have to be reviewed. I'm concerned about their competence at the Republican National Convention. They're a bunch of buffoons, if you ask me. For the most part, at least the leadership is buffoonish. Again, I want to be careful not to attack field agents who are doing their best, including their good FBI agents, good Secret Service, good CIA. They're good people in the government. But it's the woke leadership that is solely responsible for the disaster and the near disaster and the near assassination that took place over the weekend. And the fact that Biden hasn't fired that fool of a director shows what a spineless, worthless wimp he is as he continues to occupy the Oval Office. And you can't count a day too soon before he's out of office.
No, you can't. Let's go ahead and cut to a commercial break, and we'll be right back in just a minute. We'll be right back.
You bet.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas, or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama.
You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time as we get to ride home with each other. And we are discussing with Don Brown, who is an attorney, and he's also an author and a speaker. By the way, I know you have a lot of writings out there right now, and I know people can go on Amazon and find your books. Where else can they find your awesome?
Go on barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com. All over. You can go to my website also at Don Brown Books. Don Brown Books. You can go there as well, and .com. So I appreciate the plug. Hopefully we'll have another one coming out soon. I'm working on a book on political prosecutions, which has been illuminating. And it's kind of funny because just a couple of days ago, I wrote the chapter on how Merrick Garland has been illegally appointed in violation of the Appointments Clause. And today, the judge down in Florida, Judge Cannon, dismissed the case on that very thing. So it's been, it's been quite the experience for me. I hope that's going to come out soon. I hope to be able to talk to you about that once it's released, Donna.
Oh, can't wait. I'm sitting here waiting. I'm on pins and needles. Okay, let's talk about what's happening right now. J.D. Vance, what can you tell us about him? I know you've done a lot of research.
Well, first off, from a larger standpoint of all those who were on Trump's list, there were those you and I both liked. We liked, and Tim Scott appeared to be the guy for a while. There was some talk maybe about Dr. Ben Carson, who's kind of low key. The governor of North Dakota was speculated upon. Kristi Noem sort of took herself out. I liked her for a while, but she just went off. I don't know what happened with shooting her dog or whatever. Even the governor of Virginia was like one of the top two finalists from what we hear. Neil Youngkin, but J.D. Vance is the guy who has been my number one pick all along because I think of all those who have been rumored to be on Trump's list, he's the best suited to replace Trump and continue the MAGA movement after Trump is gone. Philosophically, they line up. I mean, people will point out that he was against Trump prior to 2016. A lot of us, myself included, didn't realize who Trump was until all of a sudden one day it hit us like. At least me, it hit me like a ton of bricks. This guy's a transitional politician, but he has since, come around. he's realized, like so many of us have, that we're dealing with a generational leader in the president. But on the issues, he lines up perfectly. He's absolutely against throwing money away in the Ukraine war, which he's caught a lot of flack from both Democrats and Republicans too. He believes that our principal, international issues are in the Far East, meaning China, the Pacific Rim countries. He's correct about that. He has been one of the strongest senators in the entire Senate on the need for border security, continues to maintain the need for the wall. He's a strong pro-lifer. He's a strong traditionalist, which will please a lot of Republicans and Democrat Americans as well, who are still basically pro-family. He's a sharp guy. He grew up in Ohio, born in Ohio, joined the Marine Corps, so he's got a military background.
Mm-hmm.
Was in the Iraq War, as I recall. I think he was a military photographer, but he was there in the Marine Corps in the middle of all the shooting. He got out and graduated from Ohio State. Spent time, met his wife, and they spent time in San Francisco for a while, where he was a venture capitalist, and came back to Ohio, and with the intent on running for office, but became a contributor for CNN of all places and several other networks. So he's really, really good with the camera, like you, Donna. He's very, very good with the camera. He's smooth. He was elected in his first run for public office to the United States Senate. Just a sharp guy, and I think he's an electrifying pick. He is light years above the last pick that President Trump made, that is Mike Pence.
Yeah.
I
still haven't figured why on that one, but anyway.
Well, we tolerated that because, again, Trump was learning on the job. He's not a politician. Part of that was to appease, establishment Republicans, but this pick is going to be an electric pick, I think. It's the most exciting vice presidential pick on either side of the aisle that I can remember in many, many, many years. I stopped to think about even the Republican picks, head and shoulders above, Mike Pence. You go back, George W. Bush. You had Dick Cheney. Come on, you go back, Bob Dole. It doesn't really matter. He had. It doesn't. These GOP selections or Democrat selections as well. Nobody is nearly as electric, as exciting, or as I think is intellectually sharp as J.D. Vance. And I think it's going to pay great dividends, not only because he is a great intellectual match, he's a forceful advocate, he's a smart guy, a military veteran, a Yale-trained attorney, but he's also very popular, not just in Ohio, but throughout the Midwest. This really helps in Pennsylvania, which is next door to Ohio, helps in Michigan, helps in Wisconsin, helps in Indiana, helps in all these so-called Rust Belt states or Midwestern states, whatever you want to call them, where Trump is going to need to take in order to win. So there's a double advantage. You got somebody who's philosophically compatible, and you've got somebody who is going to be a real political asset as well. So I'm excited about it, and I'm looking forward to hearing from JD this week in Milwaukee. It's going to be exciting to see.
And I think it's going to be great too. A lot of times in the corporate world, people would pick their replacement and pick someone dumber than them. You know what I mean? So they can go away and be the best ever. And I just never saw Trump as being that way. I always go looking for my next replacement. It has to be great.
Well, you think historically about presidents and their picks. You think about FDR, who was a World War II wartime president. Harry Truman was his final vice president. And Harry Truman, of course, had the mettle to step in. In some ways, in my opinion, is better than Roosevelt, who was a socialist. Harry Truman had the guts to drop the bomb. But Harry Truman was picked in the last term of Roosevelt's administration before Roosevelt died. And, Trump picked, Pence. Pence was never going to be a replacement for Trump. Never. He's about as bland as the day is long. He's shown that he's got zero spine. He falsely and disingenuously tried to run against Trump and said that the president had gone against the Constitution. That's a bunch of crap. President Trump has never gone against the Constitution. And the fact of the matter is, on January 6th, the Constitution was silent on what the vice president's duty was as the head of the Senate. And Richard Nixon himself, there was presidential precedents from 1960 when Richard Nixon made a decision over which ballots to count and when Hawaii came in with two competing sets of electors. So Pence just tried to save his own hide. We wouldn't even know his name if it weren't for Donald Trump putting him on a ticket.
I didn't know who the heck he was.
He'd be a footnote in history. You'd have to look him up. If you heard, who is that? You'd have to look him up on Google to figure out who he was. So my only point is, I have a feeling that Pence might not, excuse me, I don't know that he would have made it 2 terms with Trump anyway. He never was a legitimate replacement. He never inspired anything. You know, he had a tendency to back down. And so this is a much, much better pick. It's a new day, and the sun's about to shine in America again.
I'm so happy about that. So let's envision, let's play pretend, okay? So there's going to have to be a meeting with J.D. Vance and cackling Kamala. How do you think that's going to go?
Kamala actually, Pence let Kamala handle her. She looked over and says, "I'm talking, Mr. Vice President, I'm talking." You wouldn't have gotten, if I was debating her, she would have never gotten away with that. Of course, I wasn't able to get elected, but if I'd been on, she would never have gotten away with that with me. I say, you don't have any more right to talk than I do, and I'm going to tell you what I've got to say. Pence just backed down. He's like a coward. J.D. Vance ain't going to do that. J.D. Vance is so much sharper than Kamala Harris that it won't even be a fair fight if they wind up debating. So we'll see how that turns out. But that'll give us one more thing to look forward to in the fall. Now, the real question is whether or not Biden will actually debate again. He says that he will. September's around the corner. But that's a real risk for him to try that again.
Trump invited him for a little golf match out there. He turned it down. Well, I thought he was supposed to be great and wonderful. He was going to beat the daylights out of Trump. I mean, why not?
It's interesting. There's been at least one physician, a Democrat physician, come on NBC saying that there's no question that Biden has Parkinson's. Right after the assassination attempt on Trump, Biden comes out alongside Kamala on one side, and he's got Merrick Garland on the other side, who should be fired, by the way, and then Mayorkas just to the right, to our right of Garland, who should also be fired. Biden makes a few remarks. He does okay reading the teleprompter this time, but when he walks out, if you look at his hands are frozen in the air, kind of like this. They're just frozen.
Well, the way he walked off was almost like Frankenstein's monster. I mean,
but we've had physicians say that's a classic sign of Parkinson's, and the problem with Parkinson's is it can affect mental acuity and recall. And I'm no doctor, but we know something's not right with him. And we know he has better days and worse days. But even on his best day, he's about as bland as a stale jug of Clorox. So his bland day is a win for him. In other words, if he comes out and reads the teleprompter without stumbling, or if he gets through, an hour like he did in his press conference at NATO without major stumbles, although he did call Kamala Harris Vice President Trump, and he called Zelensky President Putin. He did all that.
I couldn't believe that. I was when I heard that, I thought, no, somebody's making this up.
Yeah. So he has these major stumbles. If Trump had done that, think what the liberal press would have done.
Oh my God.
But my point is that if he is low on mistakes, if his mistake level, if his major gaffes are low, that is a win for him. But that's a very low bar. In other words, mistake-free mediocrity, or few mistakes, and is mediocre, and a mediocre performance is the best he can do. It's a low bar. He can't inspire anybody. He can't persuade anybody, and his policies are killing the country. So, hey, but the Democrats created this mess. Let them see how they can figure to get out of it.
This is nothing new, Don. Okay, so he claims back in the 70s, when he ran for president another time, that he actually had 2 degrees and he finished at the top of the class. We've discussed this several times. Yeah. Why would you vote for someone who graduated at the bottom of his class, which was the truth?
Well, you're right, Donna. He's had a history of being a prevaricator, a lifelong liar. He stole campaign speech directly from Neil Kinnock when he tried to run for president back in the late 70s, as I recall, early 80s, somewhere in there. He just stole the speech verbatim. But the Democrats, and I had this discussion with someone else, their modus operandi is to lie, and lie some more. Like Lenin or someone said, Marx, I suppose, that Bill Clinton repeated, that if you repeat a lie enough, it will be believed. Maybe it was Hitler that said, but it was actually the Nazis who said that you repeat a lie enough, it will be believed. Goebbels, I believe it was, I'm thinking out loud. And that's what the Democrats do. They just repeat lies. They're able to do it. You know that he graduated in the lower part of his class. You know that. And you know that he's lying. But they know that the low information voter is pervasive. They know there are millions of people that sit in front of CNN and basically lap up what they're told. And the Democrats play that. They'll lie to preserve power. And that's what you're going to get. Until our people get a little smarter and start understanding the mainstream media is nothing but like Pravda on the Potomac, as Jesse Helms used to call it, and start cross-referencing sources, we're going to be in trouble. I hope our people get smarter. I hope enough Americans have now seen the deliberate cover-up that the media engaged in to hide Biden's true mental decline, that they're going to say, hey, I'm not going to believe what you say anymore, and I'm going to do my own homework. But whether that happens or not remains to be seen.
Well, you ever been around an unruly child who just keeps on and on and on, and maybe at a restaurant or something, and you even want to go over there and pop the kid to shut the kid up? This is the way they act. They are like unruly children who just keep on until they get their way. I mean, this is a bunch of nonsense. Right.
Well, the objective is power. They'll do anything for power. They'll lie for power. They'll steal for power. They'll even kill for power. Yeah, and until we realize that, and it's not just the Democrats in the deep state, it's three-letter agencies in the deep state, and Democrats are in bed together. It's the media. The media has been the enemy of the American people for the last probably 3 decades. I mean, you go back maybe to Walter Cronkite, John Chancellor, and David Brinkley, and Peter Jennings. Although they were leftists, at least they tried to show some sort of balance. But that's been thrown out the window for a long time. Like my friend Sean Hannity says, the media in this country as we know it is dead.
Absolutely. Okay, so what's going to happen to Biden? Is he going to be able to at least make it to the election?
Well, you and I, Donna, have been forecasting this very moment now for over 2 years or even farther. The Democrats have created a monster for themselves on multiple fronts. They put this guy in office and he didn't legitimately win. Then they also designed their own internal party rules to protect who they want. So, protected Hillary in 2016, protected this guy before against the likes of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. And so they created a system of rules that make it almost impossible to remove him unless, A, you try the 25th Amendment, which they could try if they wanted, or B, you force him to resign. Mm-hmm. So he's going to try to hold on. Now, there's a legitimate question in my mind is how much longer he's going to live because he appears to be death warmed over. Like Stephanopoulos said in the interview on the street, he won't make it through a second term. So there's a legitimate question as to whether he will make it physically through November. We don't know. But they are now shifting. The media is now shifting back after trying to run him off. And again, if they pushed him off, then what are you going to do? You got Kamala there. James Carville said, let's have a whole bunch of people debate, put Kamala in there too, blah, like you're giving her a chance. They want Kamala gone too. Make no mistake about it. They want both of them gone. But they got a problem, and we'll just continue to pop the popcorn and see how they sift through it.
Yeah, I just can't see. Okay, so let's just say they throw how do you pronounce her name anyway?
Kamala.
I'm just going to say Laughing Hyena. Okay, so the
Laughing Hyena, right? Vice President Hyena.
Okay, so let's say she runs for president. Who would be her VP pick? I mean, who are they going to drag in there?
Now, the two names I've heard, one is the governor of Pennsylvania, Shapiro. They need Pennsylvania. The other is the governor of North Carolina, Roy Cooper. Those two are probably, if she wound up at the top of the ticket, my guess would be one of those two. Why? Because you need both of those states. I'm not sure that putting Roy Cooper on the state is going to get, North Carolina's going Trump, in my opinion. Yeah. No matter what. But it may ensure Pennsylvania remains in their camp. So I would guess one of those two. If they go with another woman, Christy Whitner or Kathy Hochul, those women are radical. And you got two women at the top of the ticket. And I don't think that's a good look. Nothing against women. I just don't think those combinations are a good look because
I'm a woman. First of all, I'm a woman. I would hate to know that either one of those were running the country. I would.
Well, they're radical. I mean, you put two Maggie Thatchers on the top of the ticket, and I'm okay with that. You put Maggie Thatcher and Golda Meir, that's one thing. But you put two radical women on the top of the ticket, and they're going to have a tough time with that. So that's why I think it will probably be a white male. The balance, and they're going to do everything. This is the thing that's going to be calculated for politics. If you put Cooper or Shapiro on there, they're perceived to be as quote unquote moderate. Although I don't think you can make an argument that any elected Democrat in the major office today is moderate. Cooper, drove North Carolina in the ditch with his radical and draconian masking and vaccine rules. Shapiro, Pennsylvania was involved in cheating in the 2020 election when they just let the ballots be counted roughshod without any sensitivity to deadlines. They're both radical, but they can be sold. They would try to sell them as moderates. My bet would be on one of those two if somehow they got Biden off the ticket and left her at the top. Because see, the problem is they can't put a Newsom under her because he would outshine her. You can't put someone in the VP position that's going to outshine the number one position. And so that's neither Shapiro nor Cooper would outshine Kamala or Kamala. They would probably stay in their place, but the Democrats would consider them to be attractive number twos, in my opinion.
Well, I'm going to say this. As a woman, you do not put two narcissist women together. Don't do that. They'll kill it. Well, wait a minute. No, never mind. They will kill each other. They will do that. Okay, so like 1 minute left in this segment. Okay, so we've got this wonderful thing going on right now in Milwaukee. How do you think that's going to win? I'm pretty sure that security is going to be really beefed up. I hope so.
Well, it's, Biden says he will. The Secret Service says they will. I don't trust them at all. I don't
trust that. No.
I told you this offline. I think Trump needs to hire a bunch of former special operators, Delta Force and SEAL Team 6, to beef up security on the perimeter. And I would actually put retired special operators in charge of security. I think you get a team of 150 Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 guys or DevGru guys and let them work out the security. I feel a lot better than with the Secret Service running it based on what we saw this past weekend.
I've got even a better idea. Why don't we get a bunch of good old boys from Alabama and North Carolina in there?
Well, you put those guys out on the outer perimeter. Those guys on the top of that building would have taken that clown out before he ever got a shot off. Good old Alabama or Carolina guy, boom, they would never got a first shot off. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. Don, thank you so much for being with me. It's always such an honor to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your insight and your input. Our folks, our audience loves you. So let's keep this going. Okay.
The honor is mine, Donna.
Thank you. And thank you guys so much for watching. You're the reason I do this. Thanks for the emails too. Donna@donnasedge.com. Hope you have a super duper awesome rest of the day today. Bye-bye.
My Towels solved a problem that we've all had with towels. You go into the stores and they feel lotiony and soft, but then you get them home and they wind dry you. That's why I made My Towels. They actually work, they're soft, and they absorb. And now I'm excited to announce 2 brand new lines of My Towels. What makes them the best towels ever is they're now made with 100% long staple Shapiro cotton. This is a combed ring spun cotton that makes My Towels even softer and more absorbent than ever. And now you get a 6-piece set for an amazing introductory sale price as low as $29.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get My Towels for only $29.98. Or you can get my designer premium line for just $20 more. Either way, you save 50% now on all My Towels. They actually work. What a concept. This offer won't last long, so please order now.
mypillow.com